The Rebel Air Museum moved from Andrews Field and they moved to Earls Cone and carried on at that particular point, and obviously taking Mr Shorty with them. And we have photographs of that being outside under tarpaulins. They did work on it, they did do a bit of preservation on it, and they eventually mounted it on a trolley that we see it on today. When that museum folded after the death of the father and the son, it was put into store, and ownership was taken up by the trustees of Marks Hall, who very kindly loaned it to this museum in 2011. We recovered it, we put it on a farm trailer, and our farmer would bring it around the track on our open days, weather dependent, so if it was going to rain it couldn't be displayed. So we wanted to do better than that, so we then had a container, which Robin kindly had no further use for, was a shipping container. So we built a small display in there with the parts that came with Mr Shorty. As things developed, we then wanted to do something better. So eventually, in about 5 years ago, we had this building erected, a third of our buildings, and it was purpose-built with Mr Shorty in mind. And I was able to then use the space to design a layout which had accessibility all around for everybody, including people who have mobility problems. And I was able to lay out other parts of what was the nose of the aircraft. Although we didn't have the skin, because all of that had perished over time at Duxford, we did have the throttle box, which had been removed from that particular scrapyard before they rescued it. And I should add that scrapyard, a week after they recovered all of the remains of Mr Shorty, that scrapyard was uplifted and taken to the smelters, so anything else in that scrapyard was lost to posterity. But we're thankful, because parts of what we know from Mr Shorty were the overhead part of with the windscreen wipers. You had a section that contained the windscreen, you had the compass in there. You've still got the windscreen motor today, you've got some of the rubber that surrounds the windscreen, and you've got the two escape hatches which the pilot and the co-pilot would go out of up through the top of the aircraft if they needed to do so during a belly landing, after a belly landing. We also have one of the control columns from the aircraft from which the pilots would have controlled and steered the rudder. We've got the horizontal flywheel in the remains of the rudder there, and we've still got extant in the tail section that cable down both sides. We've also got kindly on loan to us the dash panel, which contains the serial number of Mr Shorty. The instruments have gone, but we have an example of an instrument in our exhibition here. That we also have the armoured seats of the pilot and the co-pilot. Almost like a bathtub. He was sitting in a bathtub, if you remember, not old-fashioned up-ended bathtub, sitting in that to protect him from flak being shot at or from fighter aircraft. His co-pilot was not so well protected. His co-pilot's got a much smaller back piece, really, and the reason for that was that seat had to slide back on rails to give access on the right-hand side of the cockpit to the tunnel that led to the nose of the aircraft, through which the bombardier would go to line up the bombs for the mission. So we've got all of these things, and I've been able to reconstruct what the layout of the nose of the Marauder would be, using a number of components that come from Mr Shorty. And we also have other things like part of the cowling of one of the engines of Mr Shorty, some air vents, part of the nose gun of the aircraft, the rotating bit that the bombardier would operate, and some of the ventilation trunking. The wingtip, which, interestingly enough, has got 3 navigation lights. They did night formation flying. They could use these to line up their aircraft, and because they were shielded lights, they wouldn't be visible at a distance or from an angle away.